Comedy legend Frank Skinner is back on stage with his first stand-up show in 4 years.
I think a man of my age saying my girlfriend is sort of on a level with a man of my age saying my skateboard.
Live in London this June, at the Edinburgh Festival in August, and touring across the country this autumn.
It's what I would call an Elton John joke. It's a little bit funny.
Book tickets now at frankskinnerlive.com.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This, however, is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via the Absolute Radio website. How casually I tossed the term Instagram around now. I remember when it felt strange upon my lips.
Oh, I love your confidence with the socials now.
Oh, Instagram.
Yeah. All over it.
I don't really know what it is, but I'm familiar with the word.
It's a picture sharing blog sites, microblog, is that what they call it?
Picture sharing microblog.
They called Twitter microblogging, didn't they, when it first came out?
But I find that picture sharing microblogs always let me down.
Yeah.
What a track that was. I loved it. Can I begin?
Yes, you may begin.
Can I speak au political?
Oh.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be part. But I watched a speech this week by Tory leadership hopeful Rory Stewart.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Does he speak well? Is he a great orator?
He did all right. He had a circus setting.
He never.
He did.
Oh, did he?
He honestly did.
Roll up.
Yeah, he had. It was all done in that thing, and then he walked. He looks like. Did you ever see kids who put their dad's suit on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Messing about. He looks like
He
that.
looks
He's such
a bit like that.
Always a thin man. You could read through him.
I have another suggestion. A little bit like that, Frank, and also like the man we became slightly obsessed by, the man who appeared to walk out of the sea, and he was a mysterious pianist. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Yes.
A bit like him, bit suit with no shoes.
Yes, he was. He had Frankenstein monster chic. yeah. Then he was a hoaxer, wasn't he? In the end,
I think so.
I think he may have been seeking some sort of refuge.
but anyway, I'm glad you bring up Le Maire. That's the C for our English.
Not Boris Le Maire.
I'm glad you bring that up, because the thing that really got me about the Rory Stewart, and actually I think he's one of the more likeable politicians in the country. He seems like a caring man, but I know "seems" is a very big word in the political community. Anyway, he talked about some of the things, some of the bad leaders that this country's had, and he said King John wasn't famous for his blood, but it was a sort of Magna Carta joke, and he was sort of forced to sign it. And he says, we don't want to be known for things like Henry VIII's family values, stuff like that. Oh. So he had,
Don't throw shade at
historical
Henners.
Comedy.
Yeah, but then he said, then he
Quite
said,
up your street, actually.
well, it was until he said,
Oh dear.
and he said, and King Canute's view on the tidal something or others, and it got a bit of a... And it was examples of, bad leaders that the country had in the past.
Yes.
And King Canute, everyone knows the King Canute story.
Here we go.
Here we go, Al.
The King Canute story.
Lay off King Canute.
But you know that King Canute was he told the waves to stop coming in. He stood on the seashore with some of his people gathered round him and told the waves to stop. Mm-hmm. And they didn't, obviously, because they don't.
Yes.
They're generally disobedient.
I saw that as an illustration of sort of man's folly.
Yes, but
right.
the story, although the story may well have never happened.
He's wading in.
Yeah, but the story originally, which a man with his education, Rory Thingy, who went to, I think, Eton and stuff like that. Yeah.
If in doubt,
the story is that Canute felt that his courtiers and that were holding him in too much esteem. So he said, remember, it's God who's in charge. Look, took him on the beach and said, stop, I command you as king to stop to the waves. So he was actually making a humble point.
Yeah.
Now, surely, with a team of researchers and a coat so big that he could have a laptop with him at all times and no one would know the difference, he could have checked that out.
I'm still reeling from the idea that the boss would say, wait, you hold me in too much esteem.
I know. Well, I think I've made that speech in here before.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Is a razor light a thing that you can get? Do you remember those pens you could get? There was a time you could get pens that had like a little light at the point of it, so you could write in the dark.
Oh,
Just
I've
go-
seen
Oh,
Was
them.
it like the film critic pen?
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
seen those being used by live reviewers of Edinburgh shows.
Indeed, yeah. But razor light, are they named after is there a razor that has a light in it so you can shave in the dark?
No, they're too rock and roll for that.
Well, shaving in the dark seems like quite a rock and roll thing
Johnny
to do.
Burrell, he's not going to be naming it after a disposable razor. Come on.
Well, Johnny Brell cream. No, I don't. I wonder what does razor light mean?
Don't know.
Okay, well, 8, 12, 15. It must have come from somewhere.
Agreed.
I've been doing stand-up comedy this week
Oh,
at the
no.
at the Leicester Square Theatre.
Well, as it happens, we've had an email that references your stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hi, Frank and the crew. Long-time reader, first-time writer. Saw Frank's stand-up show last week. Praise redacted.
Oh, that's all right.
And
Go on.
also saw him earlier in this year trying out new material at the Comedy Museum.
Oh yeah.
At both
Where I belong,
occasions,
I think we'll all accept.
they had, at both occasions, there was a drunk woman in the audience encased in vodkas and lime. Is this part of the taunting act?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
Have you hired?
I must have. I've said on this show before, I think, but let's. It's relevant here. I went to see Diana Ross at the NEC, which I can hardly believe I ever
Extraordinary.
did that. And there was a woman in the front row in a wheelchair, and at one point Diana stepped down the steps that just happened to be there and gave this woman a single red rose, and it was a really lovely moment, it seems, at the time, when we were less patronising about the disabled. And when we were more patronising, as we were then. And then afterwards, when I went past the big trucks where they load all the speakers and that,
yeah.
I noticed they were putting a wheelchair on the truck, and I thought, oh no.
No.
Do the crew have to take it in turns to be the person in the wheelchair who gets the single red rose?
Or the same woman is watching the show every single night, and that's her job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I
Rose
don't travel.
Yes.
I mean, I have travelled with a drunken woman in the past, but not one specifically I put in the audience. I think
No.
what we're doing, we're getting the kickback from the the Sarah Cox, Zoe Ball, Ladette type.
The
days.
ladette, yes,
Right.
yeah.
When the photos of women in the street with their pants showing, lying on the pavement at 3 in the morning and all that stuff. But we're equal now. We can all
Yeah.
behave as badly as we like.
Didn't think this email was going to lead into the decay of Western civilization.
No,
John in-
I wouldn't go as far as to say that.
John in Falkirk. Oh, he's just saying.
Falkirk?
Do you say Falkirk?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'll remember that.
I think
I'll
most
think of a
of us-
mnemonic. I'll think of Captain Kirk falling over. That's
Oh,
how I
okay.
remember things.
I think
Nice
of
one.
Dr. McCoy playing the fall in his room and Captain Kirk coming in and saying, "Who's that?"
Falkirk. Nice.
Carry on.
I mean, yours is quite lengthy. Frank's got an entire
But I know
hour-long
but
episode.
The idea of William Shatner walking into America, the 80s, the 90s. What's that? What are you playing, McCoy? Oh, he called him Jim, though, didn't he?
Oh, Fall Jim. You're now going to have the wrong word for Falkirk in your head.
Yeah,
forever.
Fall Jim.
I was such a William Shatner fan.
I did a gala in Montreal, hosted by
Campus thing you've ever said.
at the Montreal Comedy Festival. They have these big gala nights, and I was on just doing whatever 6-7 minutes. But he was hosting. At the end, we all come on in a line and bowed. You know, it's showbiz. And he stood at the front and did a mat. And then he turned around and. Mine was the hand that he shook.
Oh,
that was great.
Oh, I'm so...
Shatner.
Oh,
Anyway,
I'm so jelly bags.
I've got the fair, so which means we have to go into a break. So can you bookmark that?
Sure.
Bookmark that brilliance.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is from John in, and I'm going to remember it, Captain Kirk falling over, Falkirk.
Very good.
Correction, Emily. We were talking about Razorlight earlier, I should just say. And Frank wondered if they were named after a razor with a light on it.
Well,
For nighttime shaving.
I mean, reasonably, because there is a pen.
Very reasonably.
I assume we're all familiar with one of those.
And also, I once got a pair of, I think Terry Wogan gave me a pair of slippers.
Some of the anecdotes this morning, actually.
Yeah.
Why, you know?
A pair of slippers with lights on the front. For getting up in the night.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think
Was
so,
this
yeah.
a dream? So many
it's
of your
when
anecdotes have a dream-like quality.
No, it's when I worked on. I worked on I co-hosted a few times
So
with
you
Terry
did.
on
I
Late
enjoyed
Night
that
Wogan.
show.
Yeah.
Late night Wogan. You needed those lights on the slippers then, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Very. I never replaced the batteries. I'll be straight with you. I chucked them when the lights went.
Yeah.
There was a point where just one was going.
You had
I'm
to
glad.
Hop to the bathroom.
Do you know what I don't like the thought of all batteries on the bedroom floor.
No.
A bit tacky.
Well, anyway, you were saying.
I'm so sorry. I didn't say that. Correction, Emily. John in Falkirk
Health and
says,
safety there with Emily Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good rule.
I saw Razorlight at Inverness on Saturday. Johnny Burrell was clean shaven.
Who'd have thought that'd be the least controversial battery joke of the week? Hey, if you just heard it in isolation. Weird. Carry on, sorry.
A fan
Johnny
of,
Burrell.
A fan of the razor, it would seem.
Oh,
Johnny Burrell is.
Johnny Burrell.
Burrell, okay.
Burrell?
No, Burrell.
I don't know. I don't really know
He
their
spelt
work.
it wrong. You're pronouncing it wrong. Frank, he's making it even worse.
You didn't cover yourself in glory earlier with Falkirk, so...
Are you going to... what's he called? Johnny Burrell?
Very good, Frank.
That should be Burrell, shouldn't he?
I think so.
Well,
Who was-
Durrell.
what about the bloke who was...
Lawrence or Gerald Durrell.
no, I'm thinking of the bloke who was Princess Diana's...
Paul Burrell.
Paul
Yeah.
Burrell.
Paul Burrell.
Well, was he Burrell or was he Burrell?
Princess Diana's butler, he was the one who went in the jungle and put his hand in the wall and said to the rat, "Move over, darling," when he was doing the task.
Is this a dream?
No, this really happened.
I remember him screaming.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the one who they had lots and lots of souvenirs that Princess Diana had given him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, okay, anyway, I interviewed Paul Burrell, and I still don't know how you say his
Paul
surname.
Burrell, I would
didn't
say.
call him by his surname. It wasn't like he was being interviewed by, one of the senior boys at school, and I called him by his surname throughout.
What did you interview him on then?
I used to have a chat show in the
Yeah, but I
old
thought
days.
he was a strange guest for the chat show.
Oh, I think he was perfect. He was absolutely. There was so
Frank
much.
relished a strange guest.
Yeah,
as you
exactly.
Yes, he
call
did.
it.
He did. You're right.
There was a lot to explore with. Oh, God, I had to put my light slippers on to go into some of the dark corners.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was talking about my. I'm doing a
stand-up.
show at the moment, and
yeah.
Victoria Corin Mitchell and David Mitchell. Is it David Mitchell or is he Corin Mitchell as well now?
Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
Is that what happens when
Oh,
you know when you take both the names? Do both people take both the names?
don't know.
Well, it's an individual
that's-
choice. Do
8,
what they
12,
like.
15. What happens now?
Well,
Or-
shouldn't
or
he
not.
be David Mitchell Corin?
Maybe he should.
That's never. What about the one that springs to mind is Joanne Wally.
Wally Kilmer.
Joanne Wally Kilmer, who was Joanne Wally, and was quite a big star as Joanne Wally in this country. And then she married
Yes.
Val Kilmer, became Joanne Wally Kilmer. Wally, can I say, was not in inverted commas. Like,
Right.
I call the truth Williams.
Yeah.
Joanne Wally Kilmer, because she was a bit foolish. Ah.
I don't see her acting so much these days.
Do you think the
Which
Kilmer
prompts
thing's...
the headline, "Where's Wally?"
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic.
Trevor.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. I wonder what she was. When I was a young man, she was known as one of the great beauties. She was the sort of, let's say, in the beauty chair. You know my theory that in comedy and stuff, there's a person you go to for each category.
Mm-hmm.
So if you talked about, I don't know, if you're doing a joke about drugs, you would have gone to like Pete Doherty or something like that. I don't know who you'd go to.
Oh, the
Probably-
good-looking man for years was Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I don't. Did we decide who's replaced him in
We
the
sort
chair
of went
now?
for Beckham, didn't we, for a while?
Yeah, but certainly there was a period
Gosling.
when she was
That's right.
she was one of the great. Anyway, so I was with if you're listening, Joanne, drop us a line. It'd be a great,
Appropriate.
yeah. I think she can drop us a line as a group.
Okay.
Anyway, so they came to see my show, David and Victoria,
Lovely.
not the Beckhams.
No.
The Corin Mitchell Corrins, and afterwards they came backstage and we were doing all the talking, and she said to me, "So should we share a cab because they live quite near me?" I said, "Well, I get the bus home normally."
Nice.
And getting the bus home at, I'm off stage about 10:30. I'm out the building by about 11:15. It's hit and miss getting the bus home, that time of night. But I go for it. It's free.
Oh, yeah, bus pass.
Yeah. And
Keeping it real.
they said, "Well, we'll come with you on the bus." And suddenly I got incredibly anxious about...
Oh, why was that?
Because I thought, what? I don't want to be responsible for celebrities on a bus. I mean, I just think they're in danger.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if anyone who keeps exotic birds will know this. If one escapes, they are torn apart by common garden birds.
Is that a
I
fact?
like that you're discounting yourself when
No, exactly.
I would consider you with, you've been around a long time.
No, but I know
You're a national treasure, Frank.
I'll take my chances for a free ride.
Yeah.
But I felt really sort of, oh my God, this is my responsibility. I've got two celebrities I have to care for.
Was it fine?
How was the bus?
It was, I'll tell you what I felt like. You ever see those old costume dramas when there's a revolution of the peasantry or something and the king and queen have to be smuggled out dressed as servants? I felt a bit like I was the courtier who was in charge of getting them onto the coach and making sure the king wore that dress or whatever. It was like that, but I got him home safely, thank God. But I honestly felt genuinely anxious.
Did you?
Yes. I don't know how these people that work around the famous, I don't know how they cope with the
I
anxiety.
still find it extraordinary
But
that
for you to see it from their side, didn't it?
I'm sure they would take no offence if I said you were definitely the most famous of the three,
No, I
and yet
can't.
you're getting
Yeah.
concerned.
But I was. Oh no! Honestly, talking about it now,
Do you know how
my
I feel
stomach
now
is,
with you?
It's clenched.
Do you know how I feel with you now?
Go on.
Walking around the streets, worried you're going to get into some scrape all the time.
No, it'll be fine. Don't worry. And even as I was rushed off in the hospital, I'd be thinking of all those free journeys I'd had. It
Yeah.
was all right.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Oh, but we've just established from our producer, Sarah,
Oh, yeah.
that people do indeed both change their names, that she knows examples of that in her own life. People,
Milieu.
Yeah, so people, like Val Kilmer would have been called Val Wally Kilmer.
Right. Well, I'm afraid...
Knowing what we do with Val Kilmer, I suspect that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think they're no longer together as well, are they?
I don't like
I
to
don't
throw
know
a
if he
spanner
is.
in the works, but 585 disagrees.
Oh,
Talking about taking surnames, Helen Skelton is now
Oh, yes.
Helen Skelton Myler, but her husband is just Richie Myler.
yeah.
That's
well,
from Guy in
it
Manchester.
must be optional, but you would think in 2019 that maybe the guy, it's like the wedding ring, you know.
Yes.
It's like when I was a young man, I didn't know any blokes who wore a wedding ring, and one wonders
Wonder why that was.
I wonder why that had become a convention.
Yes. Also, in answer...
Yeah, I think if the woman's going to take the double barrel, the blokes...
Man should have it.
Yeah.
Why not? In answer to
all
our
just-
poser earlier, where's Wally? Clive Silas, Joanne Wally was Queen Catherine, Henry VIII's first wife in Wolf Hall. There you go.
Oh, excellent.
Well, fancy that.
Yeah, she-
Good. I'm glad. You know what? I
don't
bet
know.
that Kilmer guy was not very nice to her. I'm glad she's bounced back. That's all I'll say. By the way, talking about that on the bus, recognised on the bus thing, I only ever get, I've advertised this before, I can wear sunglasses, a scarf, anything, and still get recognised. As soon as I cover my enormous forehead, I can walk in through a crowded room. If I had the audacity on the bus to put on a bandana, I would be
fine.
basically invisible. I could travel all over London, wherever.
You reckon you could wear a bandana and an England shirt and carry in like a sort of fake World Cup and people still
Yeah.
wouldn't recognise
Still
it?
would.
Jules Rimet trophy.
Once I've covered the
Humming
forehead,
three lions.
all is well. Yeah, it's true. It's makes a big difference.
Very distinctive
Oh, I
forehead,
did,
Mr. Skinner.
I did loose swimming this week.
Oh, how were the LWs?
Full of the anecdotes today.
Aye. The first time I did loose swimming, here's an interesting.
Oh, I don't think I want to. I read the autobiography, love. Had to lie down in a darkened room for 3 days.
I speak
Page
of the
48.
television show of that name.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Phew.
But what about this for a juxtaposition of cultures? The first time I did loose swimming, it was filmed in Norwich, and they said, "Would you do loose swimming? We'll fly you in a helicopter."
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
bit Noel Edmonds.
Exactly. So I said, I'll do it, but can I just put one clause in my contract? Norwich is very close to the Roman Catholic shrine of Our Lady of Walsingham. Could I have a car to take me out there?
You did not say that.
And they said, yeah, hold on a minute, I'll get back to you. They come back and said, yes, we can get you a shrine car. So I did loose swimming and Our Lady of Walsingham in the same afternoon. I mean, that's quite a combo. And then when I was on there this week, it struck me.
No
because-
longer in Norwich, shall we say?
No.
In London's
Great double up,
SE1 or something.
No, it's
Oh,
it's
dear.
at
White City?
Thingy, Wood
Yeah.
Lane. And the guest, I'd forgot this, the guest sits in the middle of the loose women in a very Last Supper kind of a formation.
Oh, like a sort of, I imagine it like Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper.
Yeah,
You sat there, lovely.
yeah.
Who did you have on with you?
Like Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, touch for the very last time. Well, I'll tell you what was a bit.
Which Lucy's did you have?
The producer's giving me
Okay.
pressure. We'll have to book. Can we book Mark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
We've been discussing people's double-barreled names when they marry, like
Yes.
conjoined names.
Yeah, there's probably a term for it, but is it? Do we in 2019? Are we living in a place where only the women are taking both barrels, as it
Yeah.
were?
Yeah, you both got to take both barrels.
Well, 854 has texted, I think, a pertinent question
Okay.
to
love
Frank
one of
and the
those.
team. Just wondering what happens when a double-barreled name marries a double-barreled name.
Well,
Well, there's going to be a lot more of that
So,
in years to come.
you know,
Well, this
if
is
the
it.
children of Jacob Rees-Mogg marry somebody with da-da-da-da-da, it's going
May
to be...
God have mercy on them.
Yeah.
But I think
It's going to be a long business card when they then enter the working
Yeah.
world, isn't it?
we'll have to stop it. Where do you stop this? The next gen is going to have to stop it, aren't they? You're going to have to just start inventing your own name. Give your family. I think the whole concept of a family name will probably die out.
You
I've
know
said
what-
it.
You know what might happen is
What?
that it might just go so silly that people start suggesting, why doesn't the woman just take the husband's name? And
That
it'll just
could
come back to-
never happen.
It could. It
Don't
could
be
come back
ridiculous.
full circle.
Or why doesn't the husband? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The husband takes the woman's name.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not?
I'm happy to be called Catherine.
Yeah. It's your choice. Either would work. Did the
I think there'll be so many names hyphenated that they'll just take the initials of those names and do an anagram of
Right.
Yeah. Whatever it is. No, not an anagram. What's the thing when you use like ACAS and
Yes.
uncle?
Yes.
What's it called, that?
That's called an acronym.
There you go.
I believe.
That's what they'll do. People have acronyms of all their multifarious surnames.
Well, if anyone wants to marry me, don't all run at once.
Hey!
You'll have to take my name because I if I'm the biggest earner, you're going to have to take my name. Okay?
You are.
But if
so
I-
you're saying.
It's quite likely I will be. Let's face it. Sin on the ground.
Yeah, well, I met a couple at the Brits. Do you remember this? A woman who
Lovely.
said to me, her name was, I think it was, oh God, it was Tracy Frank or something like that.
Oh.
And her boyfriend was called Skinner. And one of the reasons they didn't do the hyphenated name is that it would be Frank Skinner. Well, there you go.
We've also had 426. My partner
have?
is.
Go on. Carry on.
No. I won't tell you what happened with 740.
I looked through your I looked through your ledger one night.
My partner is Toombs and I am Ward. We couldn't think of a way to combine them without it sounding like a mortuary signpost or a funeral director's.
Yeah.
Love the show. Coral and Linda in Cheltenham.
Oh, Coral and Linda. I was waiting for the surname. We never got there. So
But we don't know.
We don't know what they did in
Toombs
there.
Ward. Coral Toombs Ward.
I think Toombs Ward
Nice.
sounds all right. I don't think you'd instantly think. I mean, if you got Tombs in it, you got
Yeah.
Tombs in it.
It's there.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Oh yeah, when I was on this was on Loose Women.
Oh, yes.
What they do is during
Yes.
the show they keep trailing the sort of the last guest. So you have to keep. You're sitting in your dressing room or wherever. You have to keep going out and standing amidst the audience so they can have a shot of you smiling. Later in the show, Frank Skinner. So you're standing there amongst the audience. And they were doing this. There's all, obviously, it's an audience. I think there was two men in it. It's mainly women in
Right.
the audience. And I'd be a bit suspicious of any blokes that went along. You think they're going there to meet people, aren't they? It's not a singles bar, mate. Anyway, so there's shots of me, and it's
Legends,
combined. So the show is a mixture of shots of me standing next to the audience. This is the bits when they're not loose
Can't
women. in
wait
it.
to see these.
And the other one is a trailer that they kept showing of This Morning, the next day's This Morning, which featured George Clooney on it. The GC, as he calls himself.
Does
Oh,
he?
yeah.
And that, the worst possible people sitting there thinking, oh, we could have been on the Clooney show. We're on the Skinner show. Oh, man, it was really, I suffered by comparison.
Oh, Frank.
The grey hair thing, that wasn't enough for them as a regular theme.
Did you like your time, though, on LW?
Loose Women, it's... you sit around and have a natter, sell your wares, go.
Do you have? Do you drink tea out of a mug with loose women on it?
I did. I
Lovely.
did exactly that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Do they give you tea or water, Frank?
Oh, no, I had to have tea.
Oh, good.
Oh, I was there about 3 hours. If I hadn't have had tea, I'd have been lying across them fast asleep. Like when you see people, when flights have been cancelled for days,
yeah.
people
Oh.
just lie across.
Your head nestling in Jane Moore's lap.
Do you know what? I haven't head nestled for such a long time.
Get back into it.
It used to be a thing. That used to be the moment when you first showed to someone that maybe something might
Oh,
be
the head
happening.
nestling.
Yeah, you'd be sitting out in a group and you'd just put your head on their lap and see if they were okay with it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was a first date.
No, I'd say pre-first date. I'm thinking,
right.
yeah.
I don't do
What,
that
if you're
until
hanging
6
about
months
in a group, like in the common room or something like that? Is that
Hang
what
on.
you're thinking?
Ow.
Yeah, exactly. You got it out. In the JCR. Exactly. Yeah, that's the junior common room. In case you're trying to work out something rude. Yes. Yeah, that was all it for me. You think, oh, she's all right with head on the lap. Love.
Extraordinary.
Love is in the air, as whoever it was said that.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You've got a few crisps there to just finish off. So
I haven't.
I'll regale
definitely
you with
haven't.
I'll regale you with an email that we had during the week.
I haven't.
That
Who would eat crisps at 9:15
I
in
like
the
on the
morning?
radio.
Frank's attempt to conceal his tuck is a bit Billy Bunter.
Yes.
I love Bunter.
Yeah.
I love Bunter.
What, Billy Bunter, the fat owl of the remove? Oh, man.
Was that his sort of narrative arc? He just got obsessed by food.
Yeah, that was his main thing.
Okay.
I remember there used to be a
Sorry, Al.
Billy Bunter TV show.
You wouldn't be
Don't
allowed
remember that.
now,
Somebody
would
called
you?
Campion.
Not with the
Charles
national
Campion.
obesity crisis. Can't have Bunter.
No, yeah, he must have gone way out of fashion, Bunter. Anyway, sorry.
Well, we've had an email. Hi, Frank and Co. After a number of shows discussing the subject, I feel the need to weigh in on the Kinder Egg debate regarding its illegality in the US.
Now, let me just give you a brief resume.
Yeah.
At Easter, I bought some Kinder Eggs, and I discovered that in America, because I accidentally bought some Kinder Joys as well, which are a different setup, and the toy isn't inside the egg. And I found out it's because in America, you cannot sell a non-edible item inside an edible item because
Yes.
of the choking risk.
Yes.
Someone then very wisely said, what about fortune cookies? It's a good point.
And since then, we've had weeks of conversation about it.
It's a fascinating subject, I'm
Yeah.
to be straight with you.
Many tentacled. You'd be surprised. If you haven't heard it, I suggest you go back on the podcasts because people are talking about it as much as Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I can't tell you how many times this week I've been asked if I'm watching Chernobyl.
Yeah, I'm not still watching it. I watched it for a few months after to see if it was all right. I'll trust it now.
Frank,
Just
well,
occasionally look on
I
like
haven't
Google
watched it,
Maps.
Al. Just so you know, I haven't watched it.
You haven't?
I imagine Frank won't have watched
I haven't
it.
got the channel. But anyway.
Oh, no, Frank won't watch it.
let's
Oh,
not
I
get-
don't know, I like a bit of Soviet Russia
Oh,
drama.
yeah, but what are you
Yeah.
going to do? It's not on Channel 5.
Anyway, we'll return to the Kinder Egg illegality in the US. Our contributor Paul continues, the legislation around non-edible objects inside foodstuffs only relates to candy, which implies it's a law made to protect children from choking hazards, not lovers of Oriental food from sleepless nights after receiving an ambiguous fortune. Hope this is helpful. I think it is, Paul.
Ah,
I think you've nailed it.
What say you, Skinner?
And now the saga may cease.
candy. Yeah. I hadn't thought of the candy. Yeah, so an adult can't choke is the theory.
That's the theory.
Okay. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker, I think, is what Ogden Nash. Do you know Ogden Nash, the sort of comedy
No, but
poet?
thanks for the tip.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, I love a bit of Nash.
Yeah, there's
Do you
one
know
about there was an area of New York he didn't much care for. He wrote a poem. The whole poem is 2 lines, and it says, "The Bronx, no thonks." Oh, what a man!
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We've just had a text that I don't want
don't
to...
exaggerate.
Honestly,
Yeah.
telling the truth, man. Hi, Frank. The first time I heard your radio show was as I was alighting the Portsmouth to Le Havre ferry. Since then, every time I hear your voice... Every time I hear your voice, I think of the Le Havre quayside. Weird, eh?
Yeah.
That's from Mikey.
Portsmouth is one of the many places I've been where there's a plaque saying Charles Dickens lived here. Charles Dickens, I think, might have been
got about.
homeless.
Got about.
There's plaques everywhere.
There's one in
to him.
Highgate, not far from me.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
I think that might, well, as we later discovered, he he was a busy boy.
He was,
Put it
yeah.
that way.
About.
Yeah.
He had a bit of a 90s, shall we say, 1890s.
Yeah, because some of them say Charles Dickens lived here, in brackets, one night at a time.
Yes.
I mean, if I was putting blue plaques up, my house would be covered in them. If we're going to go on the basis of one night,
Okay, give us 3 names. No.
saving that for book 2, dear.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's just with the lawyers at the moment. So, Sam A.
I think the FA as well. Don't they have to approve?
I've heard that shouted a few times. Sam A, please make sure this is,
Yeah.
I should say, this is in relation to Fortune Cookie.
Okay.
We'd put up a social media post saying, we might have got to the end of the fortune cookie saga, thanks to an email.
Mm-hmm.
Sam has been in touch to say, please make sure this section makes it into the podcast, and then let's hear no more of it. Unless there are new revelations. You know what, Sam? I'm kind of inclined to agree with you.
But we are doing that. Today was a new revelation, Candygate.
Yeah.
And also, I
Don't
like
call
the
me
idea.
that
I like the
outside of
idea.
the intimate situation.
I like the idea that people listen to the podcast and think there's stuff that's been cut out, and that stuff got in. Why it's the first I heard of it. That's my Groucho Marx.
Liked it.
Thanks very much. Just for people at home who didn't know who it was. Yeah. You remember Impressionists? We used to turn around and froze their hair up, and they'd say things like, "Yeah, I wonder what Frank Spencer would think about this," before they turn around, just in case there's any doubt.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
377, we were talking about blue plaques on the house. Hi, Frank. In Whitstable, there is a house with a blue plaque saying that Peter Cushing used to live there.
Let me tell you something about that.
This is from Gwen, by the way.
Okay. Why has she brought that up?
Because we were talking about blue plaques
I know,
earlier.
but you can't just say there's a blue plaque. I mean, what kind of a link
I think
is
she
that?
can.
Well,
And
she
has,
is.
in fact.
I tell
Don't
you,
be so rude to people.
I tell you why I know of that. Is that I was thinking about buying that house
Shut up.
because
We're having a go bringing it up, and now it's been an ideal story for you.
I know
Apologise to Gwen.
It's almost as if Gwen knows this.
Can I just ask, is this what it's like being rich? Whenever you see a blue plaque, you think, I might get that house.
I mean,
is that what it's like?
only if they've played Doctor Who.
Well, there's a Peter Sellers one in Highgate, which I
He never played
toyed
Doctor
with
Who.
briefly. It's a lovely cottage.
But anyway, here's the thing. Well, the thing is that we had friends in Whitstable and all that, and there's a lovely sort of community thingy going on there.
Really joined the middle class. I love
So
it.
I know we looked at this place, and it was a little place. But what it was, the place that we looked at, when Peter Cushing lived there, it was a bigger house. And then when it got sold, they split it into two and sold it as two separate properties. And the one I looked at, the other one had the plaque on it.
Oh, that
And I
would
thought,
spoil
I
it.
don't want the one that hasn't got the plaque. Even though
Yeah.
he lived there when it was a big house. I don't want
Yeah.
the one that hasn't got the plaque.
What's
I'm
the
out as well.
point?
I'm out on that.
Well,
Yeah.
of course, if you also in Highgate, there are quite a few plaques up there. There is a blue plaque with A. Houseman.
Yeah,
on
well,
it.
that'd be great.
So, it was on the market a few
Just
years
waiting for the
ago.
alarm to go off. That's
Oh, yeah,
terrified.
sorry. Okay. How
no.
did
In the meantime,
how did we-
026 says Charles Dickens was born
There
in...
it is.
Oh, there it is. The A Houseman alarm.
Been a while.
It has. I mean, imagine if you lived there, how often that would be going. I like the idea that the idea of buying a house now has become a sign of richness.
Oh, no, I meant a
Tragic.
specific.
That's like
specific
in London
blue
now.
plaque
If you
house.
see people snogging in London, you can't say, "I'll get a room," because often they just can't. You have to say, "I'll get a room in your parents' house." Yeah.
026. You have to say get an Airbnb.
Oh, exactly.
026 has solved the Dickensian mystery.
Okay.
Not the Edwin Drood.
No.
But the one concerning the plaque. Charles Dickens was actually born in Portsmouth, so probably more appropriate for them to display a plaque than most other places. JW from, unsurprisingly, Portsmouth.
But look, I'm happy with Pompey getting the credit for it. But like us in London, he must be. I've never seen a plaque count of famous people, but I would say Dickens got to be a runaway leader.
Top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's all over the place.
More
Dickens.
plaque than Pete Doherty's teeth doing the
Good,
badges.
there you go. We didn't know he was in the bad teeth. Because if I hadn't been in the room, I'd have been in the frame.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I'd like to bring your attention to an email that we've received. I can't remember when this came in, but it's not today. It's one of our historic email corner emails.
Okay.
Hi, Frank and the gang. Long-time
Hi.
reader, first-time writer. I was at the gym the other day. I already like this character, Jim Rat.
2 tickets to the gun show, Al.
Yeah, I was at the gym the other day, and the music I was listening to through my headphones was exactly, caps for exactly, in time with the music playing in the gym. I was exceptionally happy with this. But when I told my wife, she was distinctly underwhelmed. I was wondering...
I think you could take that sentence and put it in a million contexts.
I certainly can. I've got a lot of those anecdotes. I was wondering whether any of you had experienced any similar incidents of personal triumph that are meaningless to everyone else. Praise redacted Russell. Well,
I mean, the chat show I referred to earlier.
I don't know. It was quite lauded at the time.
Oh, it was lauded for a while.
I believe it was.
Lauded?
It was
Lauded.
so lauded that it was headline news, wasn't it? About its.
Regularly.
Oh, when it went to ITV, it was headline news. Anyway,
Yeah.
we won't go into that.
Oh, let's
But
not
if
talk
we
about
hadn't-
that.
If we hadn't gone there, I wouldn't be looking at Peter Cushing's house.
I feel your pain here, Russell, because I recently had exactly this. I don't want you guys to get too impressed now.
Okay.
No, you're all right.
I completed a debit card. I completed.
How do you do that?
I know what you mean now.
You know what? Do you want to explain it to Frank?
What, you fill it up, do you?
No, I think he's saying
it like
he saw it out to its full tenure.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
you know what? I'm not going to...
I thought you meant it was like a Starbucks thing where you get it stamped and then you...
No. And
You
know
saw
the
it
last
through
3
to the
years.
expiration
You know
date.
the last 3 years, and then the bank company sends you another one.
Yeah.
I
Mine
did the
lasts
full
about
3
5.
without losing it.
Oh, I think I always...
You never. No one surely
Do you know?
does the
Oh,
full
don't
3
say
all
that.
the
Next,
time.
you'll be saying you've never cracked your iPhone screen.
no, I have done that.
Weirdos that don't
Oh,
crack
welcome
their
back to
iPhone.
reality.
Yeah.
I've done that, yeah. But I quite liked it, actually. It looked like Spider-Man had sent me a lot of pictures and stuff. They like the web on the corner.
I liked it, but then the trouble is with the Apple Pay, sometimes you get shards
Oh, I've never used Apple
of
Pay.
glass.
So most people don't get the whole way
I
through
think
a
most
debit
people.
card.
I think most people are losing
learnt-
it,
I've
or they're
learnt
having
something
purses
today.
stolen or bags stolen. Or
Where's
so
it?
when I got my here's your new debit card, and I'd done the full 3 years, I genuinely expected to get like a well done card from the bank at the same time. Like, congratulations, we've realised that this is the same.
This is a revelation for me. I don't think I've ever lost one.
What?
I know.
Never lost. Oh, you just
Never
don't
gets his
carry
wallet
any.
out.
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
do.
Just leave it at home, don't you?
I
Go out
do.
going, well, I'm famous, it'll be all right.
No, come on.
He's like the Queen. I mean, with the
In
money.
so many ways. Yeah. No, well, that surprises me. I mean, the thing about the double barrel names being taken by both partners, I didn't see that coming. What an education it's been.
I would feel a real sense of achievement, Al, if I made it through to the expiration date.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever done
I
it.
was really pleased with myself.
No, that's good. Well done, you. I love that one when people say that.
That is, honestly, if anyone says that to me, contact details deleted.
They must have said that when the book started doing well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well done, you.
Oh, I don't like well done you. I tell you what I hated when the book came out. I can talk about it
Did
like
anyone
that
say
now.
congratulations? What's that one?
No one said congrats, well done.
No one said
I
that.
tell you what,
Mazel tov.
I felt very
I said
allergic
mazel tov.
to.
Go on.
Yes, but I know it all came from a very genuine place, but I was very allergic to what an achievement.
Yeah.
All defriended those people.
What an achievement, open brackets, for you.
Yeah. Can't quite bring myself to say
Oh, come on. There was a lot of love in the
there
room.
was.
Oh,
Oh, there was love everywhere. The Guardian.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Boys, have you been watching, did you see the Women's World Cup?
What, the whole thing?
Yeah, well, last night.
I've
have you
seen-
seen some of it?
Well, I've been gigging
Seen
every
some.
night, but I've seen a fair bit.
Seen a few. We
Seen
won last night, didn't we?
We did.
Which was good news.
It's difficult for me to say we because I was born in Scotland, so
So you lost. You actually lost
yes,
last night.
yeah.
Oh, I've forgotten. I hate that about you.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Not that I don't like Scottish. No.
There's a bit of me that hates that about
Let me
as well,
say,
don't worry.
I love that you're Scottish. What I hate is that you're not with us on the support front sometimes.
I find it difficult to say us about
I understand.
Scotland and England because obviously I sound like this, but I feel like that.
It's difficult when you sound like one. Like Rod Stewart, it's very hard to buy into the Scottish thing with him because he just sounded so English.
Yeah.
But you know,
really did.
it's where your heart lies.
It's a lonely
Yeah.
path I walk.
Anyway,
So we're through to
sorry, Scotland. That hasn't gone that well.
England are through to the last 16, I believe now,
Yeah.
which is nice. Is it coming home, Frank?
Oh, I think you never know. I haven't seen them really. What's the word for lionesses? I haven't seen
Raw?
them. I haven't seen them raw,
Lovely.
but they're doing. They're doing
They're
good.
not. It's not quite coming home, but it's downloaded the cab app.
Right.
Would you say waiting to download?
Can I
And then-
tell you something? I right at the beginning of the Women's World Cup, they had a person talking who'd been a woman's footballer, footballer, and she said one thing you'll love about watching women's football if you're new to it is you don't get diving, you don't get arguing with the referee. And I watched the Australia-Brazil game the other night. There was loads of both.
Oh, really?
Well, I watched Argentina, and I would just like to say I'm delighted to report that there seems to be consistency across the male and female Argentinian teams in terms of a sense of fair play.
Well, there you go. I tell you what, though, there isn't so much of, and I wonder if this is a biological difference. I haven't seen anywhere near as much spitting
No.
in women's football as there is in men's. Now,
No.
there must be. Surely we've got the same saliva glands. And
I've
stuff.
never spat.
I think it's a
What?
habit.
Well, I've never.
What about toothbrushing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Do it in the privacy of my own.
That's straight in the body.
But you've never-
privacy of my own
I
car.
must admit, I've never been much of a spitter.
Me neither.
Why do people spit?
Well, I think
8,
some
12,
people.
15. This is the texting we've been waiting for all our lives.
No, I think there's a theory that when you do a lot of exercise, it makes if you run in and stuff. I ran with Adrian Childs once, and he spat all. Oh, it was like
Oh.
God. It was like running with a camel.
Oh.
It spat. It certainly smelt like it. He was spitting all the time.
Adrian.
I used to run 8 miles a day. I don't remember ever spitting during running.
You're
at all.
not a spitter because you are, as has been confirmed by your partner several times, immaculate.
No,
Immaculate.
but people tell me when they do a lot of running and stuff that they can't help it. This stuff builds up in their mouth and they've got to get it out.
They can help it.
Yeah.
Filthy devils.
The women
I think the
footballers.
footballers can help it as well because I
Do
don't
you?
think they spit when playing five-a-side indoors, but I think they spit when
Why
they
do they
play
do it?
Now there's a
outdoors.
point. That is a point.
Lovely point from Al.
Thanks very much.
Do you think they're showing off?
I'll get my stuff. I'm going to go. I feel like I've peaked.
I wonder
Have you
if it's just like a tick. Is it just like a tick
Yeah.
that people let spit in
I
things?
think so.
And also you're sliding about on the pitch and there's all that spit on there. In the modern world where we got the avians, the
I don't
swines.
think that's why Gary Lineker is sliding around.
I
on the pitch,
mean,
but anyway.
they're all there. It's yes, but
Something else.
it's yeah. Maybe they ought to clamp down on
What,
that.
on the spitting?
Yeah, I'm starting to think now. Al said that about the five-a-side. I'm starting to think it is actually optional.
Of course it's optional, dear.
No, I thought they couldn't help themselves. Anyway, I don't think I've seen anyone spit yet in the Women's World Cup, and that's I've been out most nights, but I've watched say 5-6 games.
No, but
Come on.
they did get in trouble over celebrating, which we
Well-
need to
Oh,
discuss.
yes.
But we'll come to that.
thoughts.
Okay.
Un momento.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the Women's World Cup and the US team specifically.
Yes.
I wanted to see what you thought of this. The ladies got, what did they get into, Al?
They got into a little bit of trouble.
I love it every time.
There was some Twitter outrage, words that have never gone together
No.
before or since.
No.
Yeah, they won 13-0 and they celebrated
they
after
beat
each and
Thailand.
every goal.
They beat Thailand.
Yes,
beat
and
Thailand.
the suggestion by a lot of people, we say a lot of people, well, I don't know how large this demographic was. I mean, some people suggested it wasn't classy, and that when you have a margin of victory like that, the appropriate thing to do is just to sort of get on with the job, but not to over-celebrate, because it's disrespectful to the team that are losing.
So after sort of 3 or 4-0, they should all treat each goal like...
with disdain, maybe.
Like when Dennis Law backheeled Man City out of the...
No,
Yes.
Man United.
Man United.
He backheeled out the first.
To be fair, the way the results went that day, they would have gone down anyway.
Right, yeah.
But
Ever with the detail.
The element, like players who go back to their club, their old club,
I hate
and
that.
Yes.
don't
They just
celebrate. I love it when they do it at the Albion, though. I just think, thank you. No, I do.
Yeah,
I
I
love
don't
it. I
buy it.
remember Romelu Lukaku.
Oh, yes.
He scored at West Brom, and he'd played for us before. And then afterwards, he didn't celebrate, which was great. And then they interviewed Jose Mourinho, who was his manager at the time, and they said, why didn't he celebrate? There was all these rumours he was unhappy. And they said he didn't celebrate. Is that because he's unhappy at the club? He said, no. He said, I think he loves West Bromwich Albion. In a kind of like he eats raw onions. It was that kind of tone. The cheek. Still got his.
There's a weird bit to this story that I found. I was surprised myself that I got angry at it. Not because of the 13-0, not because
You're
of
a bit of a gammon, though, generally.
I am a bit of a gammon, yeah. You please
you know
yourself
what?
for using gammon there.
It's the word I only used this morning. Isn't it lovely? Or the first time you were playing.
And now you'll have mentionitis for about 48 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was a bit
But
where
you're gammon with a lovely pineapple ring on the top.
Thanks very much. My hair stood on
Who
the back of my
decided
neck.
that they went together?
Oh, I love that as a combo.
I suspect my parents,
Salt
being the
and
most
sweets.
70s people ever.
Was there pigs? A lot of pigs in the Pacific. Is that what happened there? So weird, just a thing to say. What we're going to put on this? Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Also, can I just say the presentation people from the 70s, you can't just put a one ring on it. I mean, you would get
Brilliant.
served a gammon in a canteen setup with just one ring dumped on it.
And as an alternative to a fried egg. It's not a very likely alternative.
No,
either.
Gammon, why not orange?
You know what they say? If
Why not lemon?
If you like gammon, then you ought to put a ring on it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So yeah, I got. I'm going to pick up where we left off. I got a little bit grouchy and irritated in the conversation that I saw about the women's football team from America beating the Thai football team
Oh, yeah.
13-0. Because on the news report I saw, there was some American kind of football pundits discussing the news, and one of them said, they beat the Thais 13-0, and another one said, yeah, they were 13-0, and I thought, no. I'm all right with ladies playing football. I'm actually all right with them celebrating, even to the point of 13-0. But
Yeah.
I'm not having 13-0. That's the wrong.
Or as I heard...
You're using the wrong terminology.
I think it was Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, which is their loose women,
Yes.
13-0. They say that a lot, and they say 0, and they don't understand our language, the Americans.
Yeah.
But
What? What did you think about the celebratione?
Well, I'll tell you something. I don't suppose any of you. I don't want to give you a hospital pass, but does anyone know what the half-time score was?
3-0.
It was 3-0 at half-time,
Yeah.
and they won 13-0.
Yeah.
Good second half.
And 5 goals scored by...
One thing I find utterly remarkable about that is in men's football, the amount of games I've seen where it's been a sizzling first half and a team has scored 3 or 4 goals and taken over, and the second half they think, well, we've won it now.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
And it's a dull 45 minutes to get through. I think it's brilliant these women just kept powering forward into the Thailand defence. And I mean, you could see they were thinking, man, we can fill our boots here, because I mean the spaces on that forum was
Also, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I sort of understand the point of view to a degree, but then I think, well, if that's your first goal scored, why should you not be allowed to celebrate? And there were 3 women, I think, who had never scored before in a World Cup, and you think, well, actually, that's still your goal.
You can always say, the whole thing is from people who don't understand football. I think people watching football for the first time. I saw an American presenter, a female presenter, who said to one of the guys, "No, I believe in soccer. The etiquette is not to celebrate too much." I thought, well, it's the feist day, Hayden. In football, the etiquette is, there are celebrations that are basically, they're sort of based on interpretive dance.
Yeah.
People rehearse celebrations in training.
Yeah.
There are ones based on elaborate gymnastic things.
Yes.
People work on
Aubameyang
them.
and Lacazette have a whole 2-person dance structure.
No, that's a long now time-honoured tradition.
Yeah.
Often you think, oh, shut up a bit. And there's ones that come back again, the dummy in the mouth, the rocking
Robot.
baby.
Let's not talk about Robbie Fowler's. But
No.
I would say, I think you're right, it's a lack of understanding. These people haven't lived through the dentist chair.
No.
Google it, children.
No.
They don't. Under millennials in the studio looking absolutely,
Not a clue.
what's that? But they haven't lived through these experiences. They don't understand it is part of the game.
Also, because of the nature of the game, we didn't have a Thailand celebration to compare it with.
No.
Because they never It might have been, for all we know, that they adopted, that sort of 1950s English thing of the polite handshake.
I love that.
What I'm saying is there might have been old school ties.
Oh, dear.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
With this, the thrashing, the US women's team thrashing of the Thai team, one Canadian sports reporter actually said, come on, why are they even trying to score anymore?
God.
They should have stopped at 9-0. So he was suggesting that it was unclassy of them to continue to try and score goals once they'd got...
Out of kindness, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
well, he suggested it was unclassy.
Yeah, because
Also missing the
obviously...
point that those goals count.
And obviously, yeah.
But also,
In the tournament.
9-0, of course, wouldn't be a humiliating defeat. They thought that'd be so they could hold their heads high after 9-0.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be patronising to people that have got to a World Cup.
Yes.
Like, they're in the World Cup. It's not like they're beating some people in a training match, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
They're in a World Cup.
There is, I would say, more than in the Men's World Cup. One thing there is more disparity like that. There are some teams who are there really they're going to be walloped over and over.
Yeah, because they were like 34th, I think they were ranked, Thailand.
Right.
And America are about, what are they, third,
But,
fourth,
when
fifth?
England beat Panama 6-1 in the Men's World Cup, it was, it's a similar
Yes, that's
cakewalk.
true.
Reminds me of the time that Ronnie O'Sullivan received some pushback from Alan Robidoux because he started playing him left-handed.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's slightly different. They were, it's not like they were doing that thing from school of running the ball up to the line and then kneeling down and heading it in. It wasn't like that.
If they were doing it like school rules, they would have given Thailand their best player just to make it even.
They weren't playing just headers and fancy kicks. They were a bit more respectful.
After
Also-
9-0, they should have done just headers and fancy kicks. That
Can I
would
just
have
say
been
something as well, Al?
Slow it down a bit.
When they were saying it was unclassy, their celebrations were they went overboard. They kept saying overboard. Define overboard. Have these people seen Ronaldo and Luis Suarez, the way they celebrate? There was
Yeah.
nothing. They just hugged each other.
They
One
celebrated
did a little leg
scoring a
kick.
goal. Fair play.
I know.
I'd say, why is that bad? But if somebody wins the lottery, they feel perfectly fine about going on the
Return to
news.
Frank's bugbear.
Like with champagne
Tell
and stuff going,
everyone-
yes, we are not poor anymore. Ha ha. And
we
people
did it.
love that. And yet, when I'm buying Peter Cushing's house, then suddenly I'm the bad guy. So people
Tell everyone what you said about the lottery winners.
All I'm saying is this: is if you've actually earned your money, you have to be apologetic about it, play it down. If you win it in a game of chance, you can be on telly with champagne. Hurrah! We've got some money through no merit of our own.
And here we are posing with a giant check.
You know my rule?
What?
If you win the lottery, it should be part of the deal. You have to wear a top hat for the rest of your life so you can be identified. Yeah, why should they be all right on the bus?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're discussing the over-celebrating American women's soccer team.
I think
Soldier.
I'm not sure it is over celebrating, because I think we have to factor in that this tournament only happens every 4 years. So there's sort of a lot of pent up celebrating. Like there's an expectation.
I think you celebrate as much as you like.
I speak as a man who punched the air when he got through a full debit card.
Well, exactly. Well,
Took 3 years.
I speak as a man. I was talking about. I think the context was I was talking about there was a time that when you had a tablet or iPhone-y type thing, it used to write with a small plastic pointy thing, and I couldn't remember the name of it. Now, don't say
sorry,
it.
I'm so sorry.
Because this is. You talk about over-celebrating. This is the moment when I remembered what it was called.
Somebody's given us the plural, which derives from Latin.
Yeah, stylus.
Oh, there you go. A bit Stuart Pearson here.
I could have danced all night. Yeah, that I would say is over-celebrated.
You think?
Can you imagine if he scored 5 goals against Thailand in a World Cup?
rather than just remembered something.
Rather than remember not just anything else, the word stylus.
You'll find when you're my age, remembering things mean more than scoring a goal in a World Cup.
Although I got very excited when you successfully remembered the name of the man in Brushstrokes, the actor in Brushstrokes.
Oh, yes.
This was off-air. Just a little insight into our off-air shenanigans.
And the main character from Heart of Darkness, well, I remembered that. I think it was something like 8 days later it came to me. This is because I won't Google things I don't remember, you see. So this is how it goes. Can I say one thing that I've noticed in the Women's World Cup? You would
Careful.
you'd expect, because these are professional sports people, or you know what, that they would have short hair.
Right.
And apart from some teams like China, South Korea and stuff, most of the women have got long hair tied back.
Yes.
Almost all of them. And, you know, in World Cups you get the official snack food, the official soft drink. There's no official scrunchie.
Oh,
No, there should be.
They have missed such an opportunity.
shame.
Well, especially some of the male players now have the man bun.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
So you're
or
right.
Alice Band.
Yeah,
Remember
and
when
yeah,
they came in?
You're right. They need.
they
to
should have them with their own, you know, the countries on. Or
Mm-hmm.
oh,
It's a great
do you remember
idea.
those elastic ones that used to have little plastic balls on? Do you remember those?
Do you know? I always associate them with the Brady Bunch.
Yes, but you could have little footballs, you see.
Oh,
They've-
nice.
The opportunities missed. Now, of
You have
course,
so
there'll be
many
someone.
business ideas, Frank.
You should go into Dragon's Den. Imagine Frank in Dragon's Den now.
I'm just worried that some angry person will now text in and say, "Oh, you never made jokes about male footballers' funny hairstyles." No. Oh, hold on a minute.
Au contraire.
No, but they're all constantly redoing their scrunchies.
Yeah.
I mean, get your hair cut. That's my advice.
Yeah. If you want to know where to go, Frank goes to Mr. Topper's, which costs
Mr. Topper.
Mr.
Nine
Topper.
quid.
I do
But there's
apologise.
probably a
which
Ms.
costs £12.
Is there
so...
a Ms.
I think it's
Topper?
9.
It's £9. Yeah.
No, because women wouldn't go somewhere like that because they like nice haircuts.
I've actually gone up in the world now. I go to the Turkish barbers in Hampstead, where they set fire to my ear
Oh,
hair.
I like that.
Do you? It's not that efficient, though. I
Gave
don't
me
think.
misgivings first time, but I like it.
I've got quite a lot of wax in there. What worries me
Right.
is my whole side of my head could catch fire. which
dear.
I think is a fantasy we've all had.
Very different kind of Turkish delight.
Yes, I remember in Billy Liar, which was the second novel I ever read by Keith Waterhouse.
Oh, yeah.
He sits on the bus, I think, thinking, what would one do? He says, what would one really do if mischievous boys wedged a lighted firework in your ear? Thanks for tuning in to us today. Mucho appreciatum, as I think Marcus Aurelius once said. If the good Lord
Blimey.
spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.